This video will cover a few different exercises you can do to help yourself or people that you train learn how to hinge, or also known as the deadlift, correctly to mitigate pain and increase their performance. The first drill that you can use to correct someone's hinge is the full kneeling posterior loaded deadlift. When an individual is in this position, we take the knee joint out of the equation, which forces the individual to get depth by strictly flexing at the hips. Also, by putting the weight on the back side of the body, we allow the individual to keep the shoulders retracted and also keep a flat back while learning how to hinge from the hips correctly. The second exercise and the next progression for helping someone learn the hinge is the half kneeling posterior loaded deadlift. Here, with one leg put in front of the body, we force an individual to flex more on the front leg, and we also start to add a little bit more instability by putting one foot forward and one foot back. Again, with the weight placed in the back side of the body, the individual is forced to keep their shoulders back and their back flat. The final drill in the rear loaded series is the standing posterior loaded deadlift. In this position, the individual now has to incorporate the knees and move more like a traditional deadlift, where the knees will bend slightly, but again, most of the depth will come from the individual flexing at their hips. With the load still posterior on the back side of their hips, they again have to keep their shoulders retracted and their back flat. This drill is called the Pvc Hinge or deadlift. What's great about this version of the hinge is that it gives the person an external point of focus, which is the PVC pipe, coming in contact with their back so that they know that they are keeping a neutral spine whilst hinging at the hips. Once an individual is starting to become aware of how to keep a flat back and hinge from the hips, we start to add external load. First, we start by creating the tension in front of the body, which reactively forces the individual to keep their shoulders engaged, which helps keep a flat back. Also in this position, since we are not loading directly down below the body, we are able to reduce force on the spine while still increasing their ability to deadlift. Once someone has mastered the anterior loaded cable hip thrust, we then have them turn around and do a traditional cable pull through. In this position, the glutes and the hamstrings produce much more of the work, and because we have to pull through, our shoulders have to intrinsically be able to load to keep a flat back, making it more challenging than the anterior loaded cable pull. However, because the force is coming from behind, it still does not create the same amount of stress as a traditional deadlift that is loaded underneath the body. The final exercise to help cue the hinge or the deadlift is the RNT PVC or Barbell Deadlift. This is most traditional, like most deadlifts, since we are pulling on a straight apparatus like the PVC pipe or a barbell. However, the band tries to pull the bar away from the individual so that they must increase the engagement of their core and their lats, thus ensuring that they have a neutral spine, so when they transfer to a traditional deadlift, they have more of a sense of what good posture feels like and core bracing to pick up the weight.